Hey, what's up, guys? It's Mike White. So, we have a question from Amanda in our group at 143 Vinyl about how to convert this image into an SVG. And I had some free time this afternoon, and I'm also, inspired by the image. I like it. And so I just thought, I would show off how to convert at least just one part of this image into an SVG. And I'm going to do just the anchor, and that should kind of show how the rest of it could be done, and maybe teach you some skills. So today we're going to use Inkscape, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my folder that has the file, and then I'm going to start Inkscape, which takes a second on my system for some reason, and let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up my document properties. I'm kind of particular about that. I like to use PX for my units. So I'm just going to set that. And I'm just going to set, an arbitrary width and height. I know this is going to be taller than it is high, so I'm going to do 500 by 1000 PX. Oh, that's not right. I can just see that looking at it. Let's change that. Let's do 750 by 1000 PX. And I'm just hitting enter to confirm that and then closing that window. Okay, and now I'm going to drag in this navy image, and I'm going to choose embed. You can link it, but then if you move the file, it loses the link. And embed's great. You can delete it later and it's just gone. It's not linked to something outside your file. So I really highly recommend and prefer embed. And I'm going to open up the layers panel. If you don't have this, you just go to layer, layers. And I'm going to add a layer. I'm going to call it drawing. So my drawing is going to be on a layer above this image. And I don't want to mess with this image. Well, at first I'm going to mess with it. So let's just first just turn the opacity down. That way it's not completely distracting on the viewport. So I just turn the opacity down of the entire layer. And then I'm just going to size it up. Let's make this full screen. And just get that anchor, in the middle of where we're going to be working. Awesome. And then I'm going to lock that layer. That way I'm not drawing anything on that layer. And I can just delete it later once I'm done. So figuring out how to approach these things is the first challenge. And, with this anchor, we want to be able to just draw half of it and then duplicate it over. I mean, it's a symmetrical shape, so that's the first thing to consider. So we're just going to kind of split it down the middle and just draw this left half, to get started. So we're just going to kind of pick a starting point. We got to go all the way around this shape, and I'm using the plus key to zoom in, and I'm just getting in close because if I work, at a really high resolution, with fine detail, it makes it easier for whatever mistakes I'm going to make to not be seen. So I'm just going to start right here at the tip of this circle, and I'm going to click, and then I'm holding Control, which is locking that on an axis so that I can go down. I'm just going to go for the middle of the line. I got spiral on. All right, so I don't want that. So I'm actually going to hit Escape. So up here, you've got modes when you're on this pen tool. And I just want a regular Bezier path at this point. We'll use some spiral later just because we've seen that now. All right, so I'm holding Control to go straight down. And I'm just clicking on the corners. And I'm going to hold Control again because we're just going straight across. I think I see a little bit of curve here. I mean, it's infinitesimal, but, we're going to try to stay true to this original shape and just go boom. Obviously, a lot of times I just kind of make up my own style on a shape and get particular about how I want it to look and don't worry so much about the original shape. I'm just clicking and dragging to go around these corners. And, I'm zoomed way in here, just being particular and doing a nice job. So I've got a decent amount traced out here. I'm just going to hit enter to confirm it and see my line. So I already see some issues with this. Like this point, I don't know if I made, no, I didn't make an extra thing there. I probably just need to change the way my stroke is looking just for my own sake. Let's make sure I'm using rounded joins. Oh, it still looks pretty harsh right there. So, well, we're just not going to worry about that. We're going to keep on moving. I'm going to change that to PX. I can't stand it. Got to have pixels. Got to be 1. All right. So now, I mean, what we can do to address that if we're really worried about that point is we can try these different node types up here, and you could try to make that into a smoothing node and then bring it back. And yeah, that's a lot softer. You know, let's just make that, what is that, an auto smooth. Here's a smooth, and then we've got auto smooth, and I'm just gonna hold control and pull that handle back up. Yeah, there we go. Now we got a nice smooth line. All right, so let's zoom out a little bit and look at where we are here. So now we're going to come and try to make the rest of this. So I'm just going to click on the node editor and click on the shape and try to continue from this point. So I think I'm continuing this shape. And I'm just going to go straight over here and then click. And then I'm going to go to the middle of the curve and click and pull to get a little round edge there. And I'm already deviating from the shape. That's okay. We're making our own thing here. And I just set that point up there to have a point to be, making the curve off of. I'm holding control, so at least I'm going to be straight up and down here. And then I'm going to, again, just click and pull. And then click again to confirm. Or not to confirm, but to actually just, set that part of the shape. And I'm just going to go with a straight line here. We're just imagining the back of the shape. And here the imagination gets a little tougher because we're going, we can't see what we're doing, but we can imagine that maybe to like right here, it's just straight. That's what I'm going with. And then I'll just click and confirm. And I'm just making sure that's all one. I just popped over into the node editor so I could make sure that's all one piece. I don't have anything to splice there, so that did work to continue that shape. All right, and well, I said we were going to do some spiral magic, and this is a perfect time to do that. So getting a really nice curve is something that's always been challenging for me. So, obviously I can do it. I can sit here and pull this curve out and try to, make it by hand, I guess, is the right way to say that, make it manually. And I can get a pretty fair approximation. Always been successful with that. But it's not, I don't know how to describe it. It's not as beautiful as what I could possibly do with the Spyro tool. So let's just try that. So we're just going to click off, deselect. We are going to make a separate object now. I'm going to click that Spyro mode on. And I have snapping on. So over here on the right hand side, you see I've got enable snapping. So it's going to do handle to cusp node. And it's going to snap. Inkscape's going to connect exactly where that is. So it's not going to continue the shape though because I don't have it selected. So I'm just going to click there, and then you're going to see how this Spyro tool. I call it Spyro Magic. Now I really don't like the way that started, so I'm gonna back out of that. See, it's kind of bending from that point, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to just click, and then I'm going to click one more time to start the spiral curve, and then I'm just going to kind of follow the shape, and I want to go as far as I can until I'm not happy with the path that it's taking, and then just keep going up. So see how beautiful, I guess it's all opinion, but I mean, my opinion is, and things are going to go wonky, I'm going to hit enter to confirm. My opinion is that, while marginally different, is better than the curve that I had going before. So, I mean, I just don't draw curves very often without using the Spyro tool. I was, you know, blessed to be part of the Inkscape project really early in my career, and when that Spyro, we called it Spyro Magic back in the day. That's where I get that from. When that came out, it really was a game changer for SVGs and for vector graphics. And I'm not too heavy into the Adobe Illustrator world. I'm sure they have something similar. It's just, this is one of the features of Inkscape that I just absolutely love. All right. So now we're going to select off of that. And I'm going to show you how to join this up. Normally I would wait to the end, but I don't want to forget. I'm just going to select both of the objects. You know, we have this object up here and this object down here. I'm going to select both of the objects, just all my objects, and do object to path. The one is already a path, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to do object combine. Oh no, path combine. Sorry about that. Path combine. A lot of times I just use the shortcut keys and I forget where they are. These things are in the menu. And then I'm going to select my object again with the node tool. And you can see that I've actually got two, you know, these are not connected. So I want them to be connected. I want this to all be one smooth flowing shape and to cut nicely out of HTV or vinyl. So I'm just clicking and dragging to select those two nodes that are overlapping and then joining them. And it's probably a great idea to do this at this stage because, you know, instead of forgetting that I needed to do that and maybe do it later, forgetting to do it later. So I'm just going to draw this piece, and it's fine to do it the way that I'm doing it. I kept Spyro on. I'm just going with a straight line, so it's not curving. But now I want it to curve up. And if I just keep Spyro on and I keep going here, oh, that seems to be working okay. Let's see. That's not what I want. I don't want to keep using that. So I want to get out of it, deselect it, and then come back in because I'm going to use the Spyro for this next curve. And I'm just going to click, and then I'm just following it until I'm not real happy with it, and then click, and then click. Cool. And then I'm going to click off, and then come back in and select again, handle to custom node. So I'm making individual shapes, and I'm doing that purposefully, and I know that that's happening. And this is a great example of how, you know, you can just keep going with the curve if it's looking good. And I'm actually, you know, it's off my page because I'm so zoomed in. So I'm just, while I'm still in this mode, I'm just going to come down here and drag this over. And yeah, I mean, less is more with these shapes. So let's just click right there in the middle of the line and then hit enter to confirm. And then this next piece is also curved. So I'm going to click. And then I'm going to handle the custom node. I'm just going to go right here in the middle and then click here. And we'll call that done. And we're going to go back and join all these. I am keeping that in my mind that we need to do that. So same thing, we're just going to come down. We're going to put more points through here because it's got to change direction. And when you have to change direction, you know, you'll get a feel for it, but you really do need to put more points. You know, obviously it's got to have points to be able to make those changes. And I'm not going to be super worried about how this works out down here. I'm just going to put it somewhere in the middle and then confirm. And with that Spyro mode on, like every point you put kind of affects the point in directly behind it. So it just makes beautiful curves. I am in love with that tool. All right, and so now I'm going to take this and do the same thing we did before. I'm going to do object to path, and then I'm going to do path combine, and I'm going to go back in and fix up all my little duplicates. So, you know, wherever I have a join. See, I'm just clicking and just checking it and then hitting Control Z. So like, you know, that one's not connected. So boom, and then you just click on this join selected nodes. So that just puts them together. And it's going to be at all the places I started and stopped, you know. I mean, it's obvious where it's going to be. It's going to be at the corners. So there's that. That's joined. And everything is pretty, it looks pretty good. Now the top part is a circle. And circles have to be perfect. I mean, the human eye, I think it's something to do with eyeballs and the way we can detect, facial recognition with our brains. We like circles to be perfectly round if we can get it. So I'm not going to try to draw that part. I'm probably going to use a shape. And, this is just live how I'm doing it. I'm spending a lot more time than it would actually take me if I wasn't talking everybody through it. But this is, I'm just making this up on the fly, so we'll experiment with it together. So that said, let me take a second to take a drink. Okay, so before I do that, before I start working on this circle part up at the top, let's just duplicate this object. So I'm just going to copy it, Control C or Edit Copy, and then I want to paste it in place. Paste in place is Control Alt V. So I'm just going to hold Control Alt and V. And there's 2 copies of it now. We kind of saw it thicken up a little bit. I'll just grab my shift, hold my shift key and use my arrow key and push up and down and I'm just kind of checking for my own sake that, yeah, it's there. All right. And then I just want to do Object, Flip Horizontal. So now I want to move it. So I'm going to make sure I'm selecting the right one and I'm holding Control. And you can see it's clipping in and locking into these different places. So, I mean, there's a big jump when you get close. When you have that snapping enabled, and it has snapped to the other side. So now I'm going to take and select both of these objects, and then I'm just going to do the same trick again, Path Combine, and now it's one object, but it's a perfect copy on the other side, And I'm not going to obsess about the fact that it's not matching this original. I know it's symmetrical because we just made it symmetrical, so that's what it is. All right, and then right here, we're going to do that same trick, and we're going to join these nodes. So now it's a complete, it's not closed yet. It's still an open path. It's not closed up here at the top. And, I'm going to grab these, actually, and I'm just going to pull these up into the circle. And I think that'll make sense here in just a second. And then we're going to select these 2, and I'm going to join them. And now we actually have a closed shape that I'm going to, then get the circles and cut out the circle and connect it all up that way. So I just gave myself a little overlap so that I didn't have to be perfect. Okay, so now I've grabbed the circle tool, and I always come up to like the left top corner or the bottom corner, and just imagine the circles as a square. And position your cursor where you're even with the top of your circle and the bottom, and it's not always perfect. And then I'm holding Control. It will let you do some, I don't know what to call that. It'll let you, if you really go outside the bounds, but if you stay somewhat in the correct direction that you're wanting to go, it will actually conform, and it's staying a perfect circle. So holding Control is doing that. If I didn't hold Control, then it's just all over the place. But holding Control is helping tremendously there. So now I'm just going to make it about the right size. And I am going to do Path, Object to Path. So now it's not a circle, it's actually just back to being a path. The advantage of keeping it as a shape, I think you have some more editing capabilities, but it's really, I don't see the advantage here with this circle. It's let's just have a path with regular nodes. And then I'm going to go over to my fill and stroke and just adjust the fill. I'm just adjusting it on this one circle so that I can actually see through it. And we'll take it and we will copy it. And I'm going to do that Control Alt V again to paste it. And then I'm going to resize it but I'm going to hold Shift and Control this time. So I'm holding both. You know, I'm using my right hand for my mouse, and I'm using my left hand on the keyboard, and I'm just holding Control with my pinky finger and Shift with my ring finger. So Control Shift, and then I'm pulling that down right to the center, and I'm just going to put it right where that one was, and I don't need to hit Enter or confirm it. And because both of these are transparent, you know, you're seeing a buildup here where it's darker in the middle because they're overlapping. And I'm just going to select both of those and take them back up to full opacity. And then I'm going to do path. What do we want? We want the division. Let's see what that did for us. Yep, that did it. That's what I was looking for there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and delete this little circle. So now we knew those circles were lined up because we did Control-Alt-V and we pasted in place. Here, let's get this. Let's remove the fill and let's add some stroke. And I'm just going to make sure it's 1 pixel. Yeah, that way everything's all equal. And then we're going to center this up. So let's just click on both of these objects. We don't need our other layer anymore. We've used it, you know. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And then I'm going to take these. They look like they're very centered because I was trying to be precise when I did it. But just to be perfect, you know, I'm going to go ahead and I've got my Align and Distribute. Where is that? It's under Object, Align and Distribute if you don't have that panel up. And then, you know, relative to selection area, that's fine. You can relative to page, drawing. You know what? We'll do relative to page. And that way they'll center in the document in every way. And then I'm going to click Center on Vertical Axis. Center on Vertical Axis. So now I can be confident that these are lined up vertically. I don't want to do horizontal because obviously that's going to move my circle down to the middle too. So I'm just going to hit Control Z on that. Now I screw up this every time I do it, so we'll just see how this goes. There's all these different options. I want to cut this circle out of this anchor or vice versa. I want to combine these two shapes. So I've just got them both selected, and I'm going to do Path Union. That's the one I want. Okay, and I got it right this time. All right, and then I'm just going to make sure that it didn't make any mess. And wow, that's a mess. I have no idea why I made so many little points there, and I don't want that. So I might need to remake this circle. I'm just going to go ahead and delete those nodes. Let's get another shape going. Let's size it up. So that was not, I'm not sure what step I did that made that unhappy, but it certainly did. And I'm just going to change this one's fill to red so we can see it real easy. And I'll get rid of the stroke paint. And then I'm going to do that same. I'm going to make sure that it's centered up. You know, a little bit of a stickler for that, especially because of the way people perceive circles. I don't know why we're so tuned into that, but we really are. And then I'm going to center it to the page. All right. And then I'm going to send it to the back. So I'm going to lower it to the bottom and then come back into this shape and edit this because I don't want, I mean, that's probably going to cut fine. I don't see anything, I don't see a problem with leaving this like this, you know, but it's just a bunch of nodes that I don't need. So it's like noise. It's just going to make my file fatter for no reason. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of that. And then we're going to try one more time to cut this out of this shape. So path, do we want cut path? No. There you go. This is the experimentation part. Let's see. I'm going to play with it so I'm not wasting your time. Okay, I found it. So I'm going to select this one. and then this one, and then I'm going to do path exclusion. And that's what worked for me. So, you play with it. Sometimes the order you select them in makes a difference. Sometimes the which one's on top makes a difference. So when you're cutting those paths, I've been working with Inkscape for years, and I still can't keep it all straight. So it is what it is. So you just kind of play around until you get what you want. All right, and so I'm going to go back, and I'm going to. It picked up the fill from the circle, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that and put my stroke paint back on, and then we'll just pop into edit mode with the node editor by selecting it and clicking, and you can see there's no problems. And I wanted to check these joins too. I'm just moving them and then hitting Control Z to just prove that they're right. Yeah, that all looks great. That's it. Anchor. I don't think this is a copyrighted image. It's an anchor. I'm probably going to put this in the library and make this shape available for everyone. All right, that's all I got. I appreciate you guys. I hope this helps Amanda, and thanks for watching.